Hey, how's it going, do-it-yourselfers? We got a good one today. Today we're going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes people make when they start modifying their car. And that is making the wrong choice when it comes to sizing for their aftermarket wheels. Now, how does that happen, you may ask? Well, a lot of people are under the impression that by getting larger wheels, they end up going faster. Now, that may be true technically when it comes to your top speed, because obviously if you have a larger circumference wheel, you're going to cover more distance per revolution of the wheel. However, what happens a lot of times is by getting larger wheels, you end up accelerating slower. All right, now what the hell does that mean and how does that work? Well, that's going to require me getting nerdy on you. All right, so first let's talk about wheel weight and how it's going to affect your car. So as you may know, the lighter your car, the faster you can accelerate, and your wheels are obviously part of your car. And if you decide to go with bigger wheels, well, guess what? You just add it to the overall weight of your car. But it's not just that. Your wheels are a special kind of weight. That is, they are considered rotational weight, as in they rotate. And that is important because the heavier your wheel and more weight you have on your wheel, the more of the load it is on your engine. Your engine is going to simply have to work that much harder to spin that weight in order to have your car accelerate, instead of simply carrying that weight, let's say if it was some weight inside your interior. So yeah, a pound off your wheels is much more beneficial when it comes to accelerating than, let's say, removing a pound from the interior. So in order to help you understand this even further, here's a high-tech visual effect of how this works. All right, now let's just make believe my spinning arm is the wheel, I'm the car, and as this spins, I move down the road. And here's the wheel weight in question. Would this be easier? Or this? That's science. Also, it is important to note how the weight distribution on your wheel is. More weight away from the center of the wheel, let's say towards the outside of the wheel, the harder it is for your drive shaft to spin this wheel. All right, so here's another high-tech visual effect. Just again, imagine my arm is the wheel, my shoulder is the CV axle or the drive shaft, and this is the wheel weight. It would be a lot harder to try to spin this if it's further from my arm. Let's say it's connected to a chain and we're trying to hold it and spin it, versus simply grabbing it by hand, or in other words, having it closer to the drive shaft and spinning it. And that's why a lot of high-end aftermarket wheel manufacturers will try to have the lightest wheel with most of the weight as close to the center as possible. Now, as if being a rotational weight wasn't enough, the weight of your wheel is also considered an unsprung weight. All right, so what is unsprung weight and why is that important? Well, first let's start off by explaining what is sprung weight. All right, so basically the sprung weight on your car is all the weight that's held up or being supported by the springs of your suspension, which is pretty much most of the weight on your car. And basically the most notable unsprung weight on your car are going to be your tires, your wheels, brake rotors, brake calipers, and your control arms. All right, now as far as why unsprung weight is important, well, let's say, for example, you're driving down the road and you hit a bump. As you hit that bump is going to force your tire, wheel, your brake rotors, the control arms, all the unsprung weight here is going to force them up and it's going to compress your spring. As you drive over it, your spring is going to have to press all that weight back down in order for you to have traction. Now, the heavier the unsprung weight, or the wheel weight, as we're talking about right now, as it's being pushed up, the more momentum it's going to have. The more momentum it's going to have going up, the harder for your spring is going to be for it to push them back down. Now, the harder it is for your spring to push that unsprung weight, which includes your wheel and tire, back down, the worse your traction. The worse your traction, obviously, the slower your acceleration. All right, so good news for people with tiny hands. Bigger is not always better. But on the other hand, being small isn't always right either. Otherwise, you see cars being on the racetrack with 10-inch wheels. It's all about being the right size to hit that G-spot. How do you find out what's the best size? Well, it's going to depend on your on your car. And to find that out, you're going to have to subscribe and hit that bell notification and tune in next week. But until then, do me a favor and support my channel by clicking and watching my videos on this side of the screen or in the suggestion box. Those will all help as well. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.